forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain.
We good? Om Shanti, Om Shanti, and a very good evening to those of you who are joining us online, and a special welcome and good evening to those who are here with us in person. You get the extra special welcome. Thanks for making the effort. So, this is Valentine's Eve. I don't know if this has any very special meaning for each and every one of you, but since it's acknowledged that it ought to, we thought that we should honor that with our special topic. And it's expected that you will go away loving yourself. Because of course, that's where love should start. So according to the information from the leaflet, you should love yourself first. Embracing self-love fosters inner peace and creates harmony in all relationships. So we've got you covered. And so where I want to start with this is with the very notion of what we mean when we say myself. Because the very term myself indicates that you and the self are not one and the same. We do the same thing when we say my life. And so that very way of expressing it presents us with this challenge, if you will, that we have this evening, where we are encouraging you to appreciate who you are, because you are the self. You are life. And if you understood and appreciated that, then loving yourself would be natural. You couldn't be any more than you would ought to be with who you are. And as we will talk about some more, you should be expressing love, and you are love. However, we live in a world where love is very elusive and fleeting when it ought to be permanent. So the question is, why is that? Anyone has any thoughts about why that might be? Why is love fleeting and, for the most part, missing, given that we all acknowledge that it is essential? And in fact, where I'm starting with us this evening is that is who we are. So what is it about our ability or inability to make that manifest? Yes. Yes, for sure. Mhm. Yes, we are dealing with this, some external phenomenon that we have to attract. And what we end up attracting is that very best way I can put it is that very misunderstanding of the self that has us misidentifying not only who we are, but who others are. Because we are using all of our attributes and ought to be to make who we are manifest. But instead we are investing those qualities in something that is apart from us. In other words, we are assigning that to the character, because for all of us, the being is the actor, and it is with this named character that we carry out those parts. And so when we invest the character with the virtues and the qualities, then what we are expressing, what we are connecting with, is another character as the object, if you will, of our love and our understanding and of our communication. And so this these two characters are playing these parts. And as a consequence, we then invest all of our emotions, all of our hopes and aspirations in our own character. And it is those two caricatures that are performing. You know, it's if we actually were, if we were conscious of that, if we knew that, there wouldn't be a problem, because we would understand and appreciate that there's nothing permanent. There's nothing that you can rely on. There's nothing lasting in any role that you're playing. That's why it's a role. And one of the things that we witness all the time is when we watch folks playing roles in these limited dramas, whether it's film or whether it's a play. As much as we get very engrossed in it and enjoy it and shed tears and laughter and so on, that comes to an end, and they go back to their regular lives. The difference between those activities and ours is that they are aware, they know that they're playing a part. They're very aware of that. And unfortunately, in our case, we forget, assuming that we even thought of this subtle connection that I'm making here. Right now in current affairs, there is a huge lawsuit between two actors in a movie where I haven't seen it, but as I understand it, there are a couple in the movie, and I would imagine they're very much in love in the movie, but something off the set is causing a problem. So even as they go on the set and play these parts, off the set, they're suing each other because they are very clear that that's a part that they're playing. And that is the difference. That's the difference between those who are involved in these limited plays, and we are involved in an unlimited one. Ours is eternal, but it is you that's eternal, and not the character. And so, because of the identification with it, we find that there is all of this unhappiness and situations where you lose your sense of who you are, and you're not able to rise above it. And as a consequence, we have to have this conversation about loving yourself, which is really to say knowing yourself, knowing who you are. And so as we examine our own lives, because we're all involved with other characters, it is essential that we develop the ability to be objective about these roles that we're playing. And if it were something that we could easily do, then we wouldn't have the kind of challenges that we're facing. And so all of our work here, all of our efforts here is to have you understand and appreciate that. And then once you know the self, once you are clear that you and the self are one and the same, then all of the difficulties that you have disappear. Because then you are, as someone said earlier, you're not expecting anything from the outside. And in fact, you understand that you are here to give, that you're here to share. And in fact, by giving love, by sharing love, then what we would have is an environment of love without any expectations. And as a consequence, you can overlook not only the character flaws in the interactions that you're having, including your own, because that's not who you are. You can step away from it and understand that you are this being that always is. And so for us to get to this place where you foster inner peace, that then becomes natural, because where there is love, there is peace, and where there is peace, there is harmony, and all the things that we are in search of in the wrong places. And so in the lives that we're living, when the real you is present, when the real you is conscious, then you are always at cause and not at effect. And so to be able to have relationships that are mutually beneficial, you can only have those kinds of relationships if you're relating to the being, if you're relating to that, the actor, and not the action. That way you can easily be understanding, you can easily be forgiving, you can easily have appreciation for shortcomings, and have little or no expectations of what you're there to get, because you don't need anything. All that you're doing is sharing. So why is that easier said than done in the world that we live in? I can see that. I can see from your nodding that you understand this intellectually. But how do you translate that into your practical life? Would you mind using the microphone? Well, that's why we're here. So that's why I want everybody else to hear what you have to say.
My perspective is that I would believe that it would a foundation of remembering would need to be in place
Mhm.
because as we wake, it's very easy to get pulled away by emails and distractions of everyday life. And without that constant reminder at the forefront of it, then when you're being probed or pushed into something that's a character,
Mhm.
you act instead of reminding yourself to share. Um, so I would think like one thing that's coming to my mind is something simple like every hour having some sort of reminder for 60 seconds. Like that's something that's always helped me just to kind of return to who I am, understanding, and again, just reminding myself now is a point in time of my character.
Mhm.
But behind that, powering that is me.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, you give the character rise. So we're supposed to play the part, not become the part. And so it's because we have become the part, then anything that happens is no longer an act. It becomes the illusion becomes the reality. The play becomes real. And so we, when you're watching the limited plays and two people have a fight, um, it doesn't continue beyond the drama itself, you know. Um, they're easily able to get back to their lives. They don't see each other on the street the next day, and and want to pick up where they left off. In fact, what's happening with these two is not usual. The example I mentioned with I think it ends with us or something like that is a movie. So it's not ending on the set. But what I want you to really appreciate is that we're on a set, you know. This is a huge set. This is a grand set. And everybody there's a lot of plots and subplots, but it's all a set. And keeping that in mind will keep you centered and adjusted. And a lot of what you tend to take personally, then there's no need for that. But because you identify with the part, if someone says, so what is your name? Hmm? Jenna? Okay. So someone says something to the character, you don't necessarily, unless of course the part requires you to respond in a certain way, there's no reason to do that. And of course, if you are in charge, if you're playing the part with the understanding that what you want to make manifest is who you are, then no matter what you have to deal with out there, especially in a relationship, whether it's one to one or one to many, what you would be putting out the vibrations, what they'll be receiving from you is the peace and the harmony that and the love that you already always are. And so this is a, I mean, if this were a PlayStation, which it ought to be, it would be very expensive and you get to play at no cost. In fact, all of the cost that we are incurring is what we're bringing on ourselves. Or else it would be, or else you could play freely, you could be carefree about it. And then you would really be enjoying yourself. And you wouldn't be looking for enjoyment elsewhere, so that you can really enjoy playing the part. And of course, that is what will nurture you, because you're able to make yourself manifest, and you're not your self-respect or your self-esteem is not dependent on the external role that you're playing. And so when we can keep that in mind, that allows for us to have a whole different, all of our relationships change. So the key is your awareness. What is it that you are aware of? So there's so many different identities, all associated with the character. And that is what we are aware of. So we are aware that we are American, if that's the nationality. You're aware that you are female or male. You're aware that you are an accountant. You are aware of how tall you are, how much you weigh, where you work, how much you make, what kind of car you drive, all of the things associated with the character. And where you are losing it all is that the essential you're not aware of. You're not aware of what we can think of. You're the witness. You're the invisible witness. So if you can maintain that consciousness, if you can be in that awareness, then you'll be entertained all the time. And in fact, you can laugh at your own character, and how well you're dealing with all of the requirements of it. So this is an opportunity, assuming that you can be in that awareness. You can see why you would be happy all the time. The whole thing, if you can step back and see how you are relating, you'd be very amused at what you take seriously and what you are reacting to. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't opportunities for learning in all that you're engaged in, but it's not supposed to make you sad. It's not supposed to make you unhappy. It's not supposed to make you angry. It is not supposed to have you be living in fear and doubt and not have an outlook that is positive. And that is because of the awareness, the one sense of who we are that we need to be aware of is really all that's missing. And so if you can give that your attention, every day, and remind yourself throughout the day of who you essentially are, then everything changes. And every day can be Valentine's Day. You don't have to wait for February 14th or any other day. Mhm.
When you're describing having that awareness of the truth of who you are,
Mhm.
as opposed to the character you're playing, when I tap into that and kind of have this outer body experience watching myself.
We want to,
Yeah.
we want to have you share with everybody.
We have people on Zoom.
I'm just. I'm trying to understand why I can have this understanding of my character and look at myself in that way that you just described with a sense of detachment and it be joyful. But even with the awareness or even the intellectual understanding that I'm bigger than the character, there's still this like pressing question of who am I? So I guess my question is, what is it about the human experience that forces us to always go back to that question, even when, I'm seemingly having experiences of seeing myself from the outside, looking in. I'm still just, I guess, in a way, stuck on who
Yeah.
am I, even from that witness perspective.
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest obstacle for that is that we don't have the sense that we are eternal. And that everything that we are dealing with is a moment in time. It's a moment in time. And all moments in time pass. But if you are in the awareness that you only have one life to live, and it could be short or long, if that is informing how you're living your life, then you can see why you are compulsive, why you are impulsive, why you are uncertain, why you are afraid, and so on and so on. So that if you woke up every morning understanding that you are forever and that your continuous way that you are making in the world always is and always will be, you would have a whole different relationship with everything and everyone, wouldn't you? And so would others with you. And so we are functioning as if we, not in terms of the character, because the character is temporal, the character comes to an end. And the thing that we most dread is when we have to give up the particular role that we're playing or others are playing, because we see that as an end. But of course, everything in the physical world comes to an end. It's subject to entropy and decay. You're not. I know that you think that you are aging, but you are not. Your body is. But of course, with the identification that you have with the body, that's why probably the last thing you do before you leave the house in the morning is look in the mirror. You want to see what you look like, but you have never seen yourself. You can't see yourself. You can be, maybe we can say we can sense yourself. You can be yourself. You can even play yourself, but you're not the seen. You are the seer. You're not the sound. You are the listener. You're not the experience. You are the experiencer. So you are formless. And you are identifying with form. So to take your question to the next level, how do we do that? How do we stop identifying with form and identify with formless, identify with endless? No, we're going to discover it together. So, but I really want you to give that some thought. How do you not identify with what you're seeing and remember that you are the seer? It ought to be very easy, right? I mean, you understand what we're talking about here. But it's that shift in consciousness, that change in perspective that's required. So for you to have a different experience of what you are seeing, then the change has to take place over here. You're the change agent. You're the change agent. And every time I talk about this subject, I have to quote Wayne Dyer, who told us before he left that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So you have to change the way you look at things. You have to change the way you understand and appreciate who you are. And it will set you free from all of the different ways you have put yourself in bondage. We're moving from one individual and collective prison to another. And why are we doing that? Well, because again, who we are, who we have made ourselves to be, who we are is what we have. Who we are is what we do. Who we are is how much money we make. Who we are is who we are associated with. So you want to be with the rich and famous. You want to be on the red carpet of the Met Gala. But those are all manifestations of the form. And you get to create that form and have whatever relationship you want with it that's satisfying. And understand that you bring it into being and you let it go. And so it is it's the character that you have to dispense with. So Ananta has to be killed. And for those of you online, I don't want to leave you out of the conversation. I want to hear from you. So, and I recognize some folks out there, but I'm not going to be calling on you. But so the character, I read something as I was preparing for this. There was a very interesting way it was put. And here's how it was put. It says that the invisible actor, which is who we all are, the invisible actor has to die from the consciousness of the role. The consciousness of the role. And that's what's meant by dying alive. So the invisible actor has to die from the consciousness of the role. The role has to be sacrificed. And with the role sacrificed, the soul realizes the self. Let me read that again. With the role sacrificed, the soul realizes the self. So you have that self-realization. And that gives rise to soul consciousness. And so, you know, in the movies and in the dramas, the characters get shot and die all the time. And you understand why that is so. It breaks whatever that connection is. And so this is what we mean by dying alive. And so, and when you are finished here this evening, you have to put that character to death. And it probably sounds but it is so that you can live. It is so that you can live. Because that character is not just ruining your life, it's running your life and the lives of all the others who are in the same misidentification and misapplication. And they are having the role be dominant, the action be dominant instead of the actor. So for those of you on Zoom who've been silent all evening, it would be nice to hear from you. So are you okay with cutting off the heads of your character? And I mean, you can do it nicely. You don't have to. Because I know that cutting off heads, you know, that conjures up a very bad image. But really, you have to do that. You have to put an end to that relationship that has the character in charge. So you put the character in its place. Maybe that's what we should say. So anyone has any comments on that? Are you ready to do that? To always experience love, always be loved, always be loving. Because what's going to happen tomorrow is that you'll get some nice roses, or maybe you'll give some, and the roses will eventually fade and die, and so will whatever those emotional feelings were that had you pay twice as much this week. Because the folks who are selling the roses, they know you're coming. And so you're going to pay double for the roses tomorrow. And the poor guy who has to, or girl who has to provide them, well, so be it. The more it costs, the more love there is, right? So anyone on Zoom would like to tell us what their take is on this? Are you ready to dispense with your character?
Hello, can you hear me? Can
Yeah,
you
go
hear me?
ahead.
All right. So I'm thinking here, right? Like, what is the payoff of that character that I'm taking that it makes it so hard for me to say no more to the role, right? So, um, like I do want to say goodbye to the role, uh, but there's this emotion or this is something that is attaching me is a payback, like something that is making me to continue into that role. So I'm trying to understand how to get rid of that role because of that payback, because I intellectually I understand that being loved is better, right? But it's the attachment in there. So I don't know if you can help me with that.
Yeah. Um, um, we list attachment here among the vices. It is debilitating. And so, and the attachment, it goes beyond the part itself. It goes even to your opinions. You know, if you have a point of view about something and someone disagrees with that point of view, then you see it as being disagreeable. But we are attached to so many things that makes it very challenging. And this is why it's the whole the character embodies all of that. And when you're able to see yourself separate from it, then you're no longer attached. You are not just detached, but free. You're liberated from the role. And then you can play it and be yourself and love yourself and be happy and content and experience the harmony that is possible when you are at peace. And so that is the reason for us being here, so that we can make those distinctions clear for ourselves. And of course, as soon as you walk out of here, you are faced with all of those challenges with which you identify, so that the journey is to get to, as we put it into words, from being conscious of yourself as a body to being conscious of yourself as a soul. So you become soul conscious, and you're no longer body conscious, and you're okay with leaving the body, and you're okay when others leave the body as well, because that's why it's referred to when you go to give your condolences and so on. It's referred to as their remains. That's what they left behind. That's not them. They've moved on. And so you have to get to a place where that's okay, and you're not dreading that. In fact, you should be looking forward to moving to if you're tired of this role, you might say, well, I'm very interested in what the next role might be. You know, let me get to that. But in the meantime, make the most of this one, but not have it be debilitating. not have it be constraining, not have it be costly, not have it age the instrument any more than it has to. And so you'll be pleasant to be around, because what begins to happen when you have that detachment and that different relationship, then your whole energy field changes. My experience of you since you've been in this room is there's a change in your energy field. I can see that. I can feel that. I can sense that. And so you want to have the same effect on others, but that comes from maintaining that awareness of who you are. And when you are, the more that you are that, then the more others can be that. Because it is contagious. It is contagious, which is why in this space, your energy field is gentle. Your energy field is peaceful. Your energy field is loving. Your energy field is friendly. The energy in here is family. And that's because of what has happened inside. That's because of what the being is experiencing. Your bodies are the same, but the vibrations, the colors have changed. And they're all blue and friend. They're not red, by the way. That's interesting. They're all very gentle. You, in this space, I would want to be with all of you all the time. Everybody's in this room. Well, how did that happen? I don't know if I've met any one of you before. So how did that happen? In the last 45 minutes or so, we've become family. And that's because our thoughts are being managed to be who we are. And you are generating love. And it's effortless, right? You're not thinking about it. You're just being that. And so the idea is to have within you that which would bring about the harmony in all your relationships. And so you're going to be tested, or rather you are going to continue to be tested. The information that you already had and what you're sharing tonight, notwithstanding. So how long are you going to make this last? It's up to you. And when you get triggered, as you more than likely will, just remember, it's about remembering. You know, all habits are changeable. You're not, we didn't come in this way. We don't have to go out this way. And so that we can make this, what's happening here, permanent. And so that that energy field you carry with you, even on the subway. And you won't need the guardian angels and New York's finest. because you will be that guardian angel. The angel within will be manifest without. So it's not that hard. You just have to turn it on once you are conscious of it. And this is why what's being said here is so important, which is that we have to die from the consciousness of the role and give rise to the soul. And you have the power to do that. And when you dispense with ego, then the conflict is over. The conflict is over, and then you can serve. Okay. Unfortunately, these times we have together go very quickly. So we're almost out of time. But what we will do is do a little bit of meditation together. So just set yourself as comfortable as you can. Anyone on Zoom would like to add anything before we have this closing meditation? I'm even going to play you a nice love song. So anyone else on Zoom want to share something with us? All right. Well, okay, Jose, we turn the lights and we will continue to extend this wonderful space you've created.
We've said it all 1,000 times before, been to the wall and always found somewhere to turn. There was always more to learn. onward bend. I never can remember who. All I know is that we found the strength to make it through. Love always finds a way when the clouds have no silver lining. She comes through shining. Love always seeks the light through the darkest night. In her small ways, love always finds a way. Holding you near after the storm has passed, it becomes clear when all our tears have finally dried, that no matter how we fools may try to turn the tide, love always finds a way when the clouds have no silver lining. She comes through shining. Love always seeks the light through the darkest night. In her small ways, love always finds a way. And in those moments when the magic seems to fade, we must remember then that's the time to keep on believing and not be afraid. If we both trust in what we really feel, the two of us can hold tomorrow in our hands. All it takes is just the faith to truly understand that love always finds a way when the clouds have no silver lining. She comes through shining. Love always sees the light through the darkest night. In her small ways, love always finds a way. Find a way.
Happy Valentine.
Thank you, Meredith.
Just wait 1 minute.